All right, so you want to be mayor, huh? Well, we're diving deep into how to make that happen.
We're using RoleCatcher's Career and Interview guides as our source material.
We'll cover some of the typical interview questions you might get asked.
And how to give answers that'll help you stand out from the crowd.
First things first, though. Let's get a sense of what a mayor actually does.
Yeah, the career guide lays out the responsibilities in pretty good detail.
What are we talking about here?
Think of a mayor as kind of like the conductor of an orchestra,
Okay.
coordinating all these moving parts.
I like that.
From council meetings to city policies to administrative stuff.
Right.
They're also the face of the city at events. They advocate for their community.
Gotcha.
They promote local initiatives.
Sounds like a lot.
It's a dynamic role, for sure.
It really does.
Huh.
The work environment section even mentions
Oh, yeah.
frequent public events and meetings, and even travel.
Lots of travel.
So it's definitely not your typical 9 to 5.
Nope. Not even close.
What kind of person thrives in an environment like that?
Well, you got to be comfortable with a fast-paced, demanding schedule
Okay.
and interacting with all kinds of people.
Like who?
Council members,
Right.
constituents.
Everyday people.
Exactly. Strong communication and interpersonal skills are a must.
Makes sense. And then there's the industry trends section.
Oh, right.
It talks about how local government is constantly changing.
Absolutely.
New policies, regulations, technologies.
All the time.
So a mayor has to be able to adapt,
Definitely got to be forward-thinking.
anticipate challenges and all that.
Exactly.
But the good news is the employment outlook seems pretty stable.
Yeah. There are opportunities all over the place.
Okay, so we've got a taste of what it's like to be mayor.
Now let's get into the interview questions.
The interview guide starts with a classic. What led you to pursue a career in politics and ultimately run for mayor?
That's the one.
Seems simple enough.
It does, but there's more to it than meets the eye.
What are they really getting at with this question?
They want to see your passion.
Yeah.
Your fire in the belly for public service.
So don't just say you want to make a difference.
Right. Go deeper.
No.
Like talk about what experiences shape your desire to lead. What
Yeah.
makes you tick.
Be authentic.
Exactly.
So how can a candidate make their answer really stand out?
By connecting their past to their future goals.
Interesting.
Share specific examples of your community involvement leadership roles.
Uh-huh.
Even personal experiences that show your commitment to your city.
So show, don't just tell.
Yeah.
What if they follow up with something like, what are some specific projects or initiatives you've been involved in that have directly benefited your community?
That's a great follow-up question.
It is.
It forces the candidate to go beyond just aspirations
Okay.
and give real evidence of their impact.
Examples of their work.
Right. Think about achievements that highlight your skills and dedication to public service.
Like what?
Did you lead a community garden project?
Okay.
Did you run a successful fundraising campaign for a local charity?
Those are good examples.
Those are the kinds of stories that really resonate with interviewers.
They make you seem more human.
For sure.
Okay, next question, and it's a big one. How do you plan to address the current economic challenges facing the city?
Every city's got its economic hurdles.
That's true.
How do you approach this one?
Well, first you got to show that you understand the local economic landscape.
The strengths and weaknesses.
Right. What are the biggest challenges businesses and residents are up against?
Exactly. The interviewer wants to see that you've done your homework.
And the interview guide cautions against making big promises that you can't keep.
Oh, yeah. Voters can spot those from a mile away.
So focus on specific, actionable initiatives.
The things you'd actually champion as mayor.
Give me an example.
Maybe it's attracting new industries, supporting small businesses, investing in job training programs.
Okay.
The key is to have a plan, even if it's still a broad one at this stage.
Makes sense. Now, what about a follow-up question?
Like what?
Something like, how would you prioritize competing economic needs given limited resources?
Oh, that's a tough one.
It is. It really puts you on the spot.
This question is all about your ability to make tough choices, balance competing interests,
Right?
allocate resources strategically.
It's the reality of governing.
Exactly. You got to show you understand budgeting, financial management, and the
know.
art of compromise.
So it's not enough to just have good ideas.
Nope.
You have to be able to put them into practice.
In the real world.
All right, let's move on to a topic that's always front and center in local politics.
Itches.
Social inequality.
Yes.
Question 3 asks, how do you plan to promote diversity and inclusion in the city?
This is a complex issue.
No easy answers.
You need a nuanced approach.
More than just generic statements about equality.
Right. What specific challenges do marginalized communities in your city face?
Okay.
What systemic barriers need to be addressed?
It's about recognizing the complexity.
And having concrete ideas for action.
So what are some examples of policies or programs that show a commitment to equity?
Think about initiatives that address racial injustice, LGBTQ plus discrimination, gender inequality.
Right.
Maybe it's supporting affordable housing projects in underserved neighborhoods, advocating for equitable access to healthcare, implementing diversity training programs for city employees.
Got it. And how would you make sure that diverse voices are represented in city government,
That's key. You need to create a culture of inclusion
where everyone feels valued?
and empowered to participate.
How do you do that?
Consider establishing citizen advisory boards,
Okay.
promoting diversity in city hiring practices, implementing participatory budgeting initiative so residents have a say in how resources are allocated.
So they have a seat at the table.
That's the goal.
Okay, we've covered some pretty heavy topics.
Yeah.
Let's take a breather before we dive into the next round.
Sounds good.
Remember, you can find all these questions and more in RoleCatcher's interview guide for mayors.
And don't forget about their AI tools.
Right. We'll talk more about those later.
They can help you really tailor your answers for maximum impact.
We'll be back in a flash to tackle public safety, environmental challenges, affordable housing, and much more. Stay tuned.
We're back! All right, ready to tackle some more of those interview questions.
You bet. We left off talking about social equity.
Right.
So let's switch gears to another big issue, public safety.
Okay.
Question 5 asks, how do you plan to address issues of public safety and reduce crime rates in the city?
That's a big one for voters.
It really is.
Yes.
So how do you approach this one?
You got to show that you have a balanced approach.
Okay.
One that combines effective law enforcement strategies with community-based solutions.
The guide emphasizes understanding the root causes of crime.
Right, it's not just about being tough on crime.
It's about addressing the underlying social and economic factors.
Exactly.
Things like poverty, lack of opportunity,
Yeah.
inadequate education, systemic inequities.
All of those can play a role.
So a successful mayor needs to have a comprehensive plan.
A plan that tackles both the symptoms and the root causes of crime.
So it's about investing in things like education,
Absolutely.
job training,
Yeah.
mental health services,
Sure.
community programs.
Right, creating a safer, more equitable environment.
Now here's a follow-up that could really put a candidate on the spot.
Okay, what is it?
How would you work to build trust between law enforcement and the community, particularly in neighborhoods that have historically experienced strained relationships with the police?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
It requires a delicate balance.
For sure. This question is really getting at your understanding of community policing principles,
Okay.
your ability to foster dialogue and empathy,
Right.
and your commitment to accountability and transparency in law enforcement practices.
It's about bridging divides.
Finding common ground,
Okay, let's move on to another pressing issue,
which is...
the environment.
Oh, yeah.
Question 6 asks, how do you plan to address environmental challenges facing the city, such as climate change and pollution?
This is where you lay out your vision for a sustainable future.
You need to show the interviewer that you understand the urgency of climate change.
And its potential impact on the city.
The guide mentions being prepared to discuss specific initiatives to reduce the city's carbon footprint.
Right. Think about things like promoting renewable energy sources, improving energy efficiency in buildings, investing in public transportation.
Protecting green spaces.
Exactly.
But it's not just about being green.
No, it's about creating a city that's both resilient and economically vibrant.
How do you connect those two things?
Well, you can talk about how investments in clean energy can create jobs,
Okay.
attract new businesses, and how sustainable practices can improve public health and the overall quality of life for residents.
Those are good points.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about an issue that's close to home for a lot of people.
Okay.
Affordable housing.
Right.
Question 7 asks, how do you plan to address issues of affordable housing and homelessness in the city?
This is a tough one. No easy solutions.
The interviewer wants to see that you understand the complexities of the housing market.
And the factors that contribute to homelessness,
Like what?
poverty,
Uh-huh.
lack of affordable housing options,
Right.
mental health issues.
Okay. Addiction.
So the guide suggests being prepared to discuss strategies for increasing the supply of affordable housing.
Exactly. You could talk about incentivizing developers to build more affordable units, investing in public housing projects, exploring innovative housing models like community land trusts,
And it's not just about building more housing.
Right. You also need to provide support services for people experiencing homelessness.
Things like shelters,
Yeah.
job training programs,
Wow.
mental health and addiction services.
That's right.
Oh.
How can the city work with nonprofits and community organizations to help this vulnerable population,
It's about being an advocate for all residents.
especially those who need it most?
Okay, on to question 8, which focuses on community engagement.
The question is, how will you work to engage and communicate with community members and ensure that their voices are heard in decision-making processes?
It's about transparency and accessibility.
The guide suggests being prepared to discuss specific ways to increase community engagement.
Like what?
Town hall meetings,
Okay.
online forums for feedback,
Mm-hmm.
citizen advisory boards,
Oh, good.
making city data more readily available to the public,
I like that.
using technology to facilitate communication and engagement.
All great ideas.
It's about more than just providing information.
It is.
It's about actively seeking input from residents.
Especially those who are often overlooked or marginalized.
How will you make sure their concerns and perspectives are taken into account?
When you're making decisions that affect their lives
It's about being a good listener.
and showing that you represent the interests of all community members.
Okay, we've reached the final question.
Let's hear it.
What is your vision for the future of the city, and how do you plan to achieve it?
This is your chance to really shine.
Paint a compelling picture of what's possible.
But remember, it's not about lofty rhetoric.
It's about connecting your vision to concrete goals and initiatives.
Things that are actually achievable within the scope of a mayor's role.
The guide suggests thinking about the key challenges facing the city.
And outlining your priorities for addressing them.
So what are your top priorities?
For economic development, infrastructure improvements, public safety, environmental sustainability, social equity.
And it's not enough to just state your goals.
Right. You need to outline your plan for achieving them.
What specific policies or programs will you champion?
How will you measure progress toward your goals?
What metrics will you use to track success?
It's about thinking strategically,
Connecting vision with action.
demonstrating a commitment to delivering results.
Wow. We've covered 9 tough interview questions. I bet our listeners are feeling like they've just run a marathon.
It's a lot to take in.
But remember, these questions are designed to help you prepare for the real deal.
Every city is different.
And every mayoral race will have its own unique challenges and opportunities.
But the key takeaways are universal.
Be prepared.
Be authentic.
Be passionate about your city.
And most importantly, be yourself.
All right, let's talk about something we mentioned a couple of times.
What's that?
These AI tools from RoleCatcher.
Oh, yeah.
What makes them so special? For someone prepping for a mayoral interview, I mean...
Well, imagine having a personal coach
Okay.
and a whole panel of experts all rolled into one,
Wow.
available 24/7. That's RoleCatcher's AI.
You can do all that.
It can analyze those long job descriptions
Oh, yeah.
and help you tailor your CV and resume.
To highlight the most relevant skills.
Exactly.
That's got to be crucial for getting noticed.
Especially with those automated screening systems.
So many organizations use those now.
It's about making sure your application stands out.
Rises to the top of the pile.
Exactly. But it gets even better.
Really?
RoleCatcher goes beyond just helping with your application.
What else does it do?
It gives you AI-powered feedback on your interview answers.
So you can practice your responses and get tips on how to improve.
That's right. It analyzes your answers for clarity, conciseness, overall impact.
Okay.
Offers suggestions to refine your message.
Make sure you're hitting the right notes.
Exact.
But it's not just about what you say, right?
No, it's also about how you say it.
Your delivery.
Exactly. And that's where RoleCatcher's video practice feature comes in.
Tell me more about that.
It's a game changer. You record yourself answering common interview questions,
Okay.
and then you get AI-driven feedback on your delivery,
On your what?
your body language, even your tone of voice,
It's like having a mock interview with a panel of experts.
but in the comfort of your own home.
That's amazing.
RoleCatcher's AI can help you identify those little things you might not even be aware of.
Like what?
Nervous habits,
Okay.
speaking too quickly.
Interesting.
It's all about helping you present your best self.
And project confidence.
Exactly.
So it's not about becoming someone you're not. It's about refining your natural strengths.
Using these tools to communicate your message effectively.
So to wrap things up, we've explored what it takes to be a mayor.
We've tackled some tough interview questions.
And we've even uncovered some high-tech tools to help you prepare.
But remember, this is just the beginning of your journey.
That's right. The real work starts now.
The most important thing is to stay true to yourself
Your values.
and your vision for your city.
Be prepared.
Be passionate.
And let that enthusiasm shine through.
And don't forget, RoleCatcher is there to support you every step of the way.
Now, before we go, we want to leave you with one final thought.
Okay.
What is one unique challenge facing your community?
Think about it.
And how would you as mayor address it?
Let that question simmer. Connect your aspirations to the real needs of your community.
Best of luck on your mayoral journey.
We're rooting for you.